many of us will be too tied up in the tunnel, so we should be able to come out of that pretty quick. No, I think what we do is we're constantly looking at the way that we deploy our resources and try to do that in the most efficient way possible. We are mindful of all the developments coming forward, as is the city manager and the council. They're all very well aware of it. So it is just something that we continue to monitor. We watch our call load, our calls for service, and we track our time pretty close as to how much time an officer has spent on a call, how many calls they're taking, and do they have enough time to be proactive within the city, or are we just being reactive? And it's our goal to keep our officers as proactive as possible and not just become a reactive force.
On the fire side, we've basically done the same thing. We have been working on a strategic plan to try to stay on top of the growth in the community. I would say that the PD and fire are very similar from that standpoint. One of the things that we have on the fire side that is a benefit to us is we have automatic aid agreements with our neighboring cities. We also, our fire stations are placed kind of strategically through the community, but if and when we have a situation where we need help, whether it be Bedford, Grapevine, Hurst, Fort Worth, any of these communities, we have automatic aid with those communities, and they help us out just like we do them. And for example, during the highway project that affected Hurst and Bedford, we help them out like they will help us out if we have times of need during that construction period.
Yes, sir.
I've got a question. I guess it's for Chief Brown. The traffic light at 183 and Hector, going eastbound on the service road, it seems to be set for an awful long time. You just sit there and waste a lot of time. And I guess two-part question. Is it possible to adjust those times or make that right lane a right turn only?
To answer your question, yes, it's possible. The rest of the story on that is that intersection, those lights are governed by TxDOT. So most everywhere else in the city, it's the city's responsibility to maintain, and so it would be a fairly easy fix for the city just to go out and adjust that timing on the light. The way it is now, we have to call TxDOT and they have to put it on their work order schedule. I stick to that light myself several times a day, and I agree with you. It's a little long. That's an understatement, but yes. So what we can do is we can definitely plead our case with TxDOT once again to see if they will come out and check that timing. I believe that timing was actually put there in response to the construction that was going on back to the west, so that that intersection would clear out a little bit quicker. Now that construction's been completed, I don't think TxDOT's come back and looked at that timing issue. So we'll continue to bring it to their attention and rejoice the day that they do it.
And I've got one other thing for Chief Rhodes.
Yes, sir.
You're underrated. Your EMS is great. I've had to use them twice in the last 5 years since I've been here. The latest time I had a problem because of church. And I gotta say, the guys do a great job.
Thank you very much. About 72% of our total call volume in the fire department is emergency medical calls. And that's indicative of a lot of the fire departments around this area. And we put a great deal of focus and training toward being as proficient in that area as we possibly can. And so thank you for your comment.
That was a great comment from your dad. We appreciate that.
Dad, thanks. Oh, yeah.
go ahead, then Helen, I'm gonna come to you right after this. He's got a mic in his.
All right, I just had a follow-up question on the growth with the police and fire department. On that was the question I was going to ask, but my follow-up is, do you have a projection on the actual number of population growth that we're going to have by 2020?
Yes, we've made that, but I do not remember off the top of my head. I'm sorry. Yes, we've made that projection. We supply stuff to the Council of Governments on an annual basis, and we've already done that. That number escapes me right now, but I'll get your contact information and provide it to you.
It's probably not as great. You know, we were talking about these developments, and it is really, really nice, but most of these are, with the exception of our Riverwalk and our Glade Parks, these are really a lot of infill developments that we're very, very proud to have. But we're not talking about exponential growth. Obviously, these are infills, and the city of Euless is reaching our build-out. So I believe that number is under 60, if I recall right, and we're at a little under 55 right now. So we're not talking an exponential growth.
John, you're gonna have to wait, because I got Helen, it is you.
Okay, now, when you were talking earlier about the access road going east by Exeter and the freeway, and it takes a long time. Now, when you check, would it also be the one going west? Because I've known some people that had to do some.
Rocky, your name?
Rocky. Take her mic, take her mic. We'll look at all of that. Because we don't want people running the red light. All right, John?
I've been reading about the problem that a lot of cities are experiencing with temporary and people renting their property as hotel rooms. Sites like Airbnb and some of these other places like Arlington's getting a lot of usage. There's actually a lot of property, I checked it earlier today, a lot of property listed in Euless that people can rent by the day, kind of as a bootleg hotel, basically. You know, it's a place to. I noticed a lot of apartment complex properties in Euless are also on there. I know that there's been a lot of discussion with the hotel industry being concerned that these services were not paying the hotel motel tax, which we rely on a lot in the city. And the legislature acted earlier this year to make sure that they were going to pay that hotel motel tax. But a lot of these places obviously aren't held to the same standards, like the fireproof curtains and the sanitizing of the rooms and all of the, accessibility. So I'm wondering, is the city doing anything to make sure that number one, that a lot of apartment complexes aren't operating basically bootleg hotels, and to ensure that people that take advantage of these services in our city are getting a safe rental experience?
Well, Loretta told me I could talk again, so she outranks you, so that's
Is
good.
my fault. You're absolutely correct.
John, a couple different ways to answer that. Number one, with so many things in the world, things develop and change, and the whole idea of the Airbnb, I mean, that is such a new thing that it is difficult sometimes to keep up with all those different things. So I would tell you, as it sits today, the city does not have regulations on an individual choosing maybe to lease out their house while they're on vacation, or those different pieces. Beyond the fact that there is some, we do have an ordinance on home-based businesses. Now, candidly, our home-based business ordinance never contemplated the type of activities that you're talking about. So the home-based business ordinance is a little bit more what you would think about. You're trying to keep there from being a business that people come to, and, for instance, overwhelm a residential street with just the sheer volume of cars or some of the hours. You're trying to keep that residential in nature. When you talk about the apartment complex, we do have a very, very robust, what we call a minimum housing inspection program, in which our code enforcement individuals are leading that charge, and we inspect those properties on a sliding scale based on literally how quality of a property it is, how well they score. And so that line is currently drawn at basically a quadplex. So a quadplex or greater, a typical apartment complex we're talking about. We do not currently have, for instance, a rental property inspection when you're talking about a single family single-family home. So I guess my answer to that would be, the quick answer is no, we don't have the type of thing you're talking about. I do understand that those things are dynamic and changing, and it may be something that the city has to look at, as we do with most ordinances, not trying to necessarily outlaw something, but just to try to regulate it within I guess what I would call kind of the greater or common good, where you're not intruding on somebody else's rights, if you will. And I don't know, Brett, if you got any comments or the council with that.
Okay, in the interest of time, because I told you I was going to be done at 8:30, I'm 5 minutes over that. But I've got a what we're excited about presentation that the police department wants to do, and I will ask Lieutenant Zachary to come up and do that.
Well, the police department is excited to introduce the program to everyone tonight in reference to Alzheimer's disease and related dementias. Every 69 seconds, someone develops Alzheimer's disease. 1 out of 8 persons over the age of 65 will have a diagnosis of Alzheimer's or dementia related. And as JR would put it, once you're 85% of 100, your chances go way up. For Alzheimer's dementia related persons who are reported missing, time is of the essence. Statistics show that if a person with Alzheimer's or dementias is missing past 12 hours, the chances of a safe return diminish greatly. Searching can be challenging because they don't take coherent paths of travel. They generally don't have a cell phone, and they're on a mission. A lot of times these people are focused 30 or 40 years prior to the day, so they're not lost in their minds, so they're not stopping and asking for directions. And although they're physically fragile, they can walk for miles and miles because their pain tolerance is very, very high, and so they don't necessarily know when to take shelter, eat, drink, and those type of things. The options we have through the state is something called the Silver Alert, which I'm sure you're familiar with and you may have seen on the roadside signs. There are some requirements to that Silver Alert, which number one is that you're 65 years of age or older, that you live in Texas, and DPS requires a physician or mental health professional provide a document stating the diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease or related dementias. You must be reported within 72 hours of the disappearance, and if you've left in a vehicle, they require accurate vehicle information. What the police department would like to provide to the community is an advanced reporting system. As I talked about, time is of the essence. So if we have the information beforehand, we can start all the processes that we need for that Silver Alert. Number one criteria for the advanced reporting is that you're a Euless citizen. The second would be that you have a documented diagnosis from a medical professional, that we can get your prescribed medications, current photo, complete vehicle information, significant past locations, and coexisting medical conditions. And what this voluntary program does, we're not the Gestapo and coming house to house to order all this information, but this voluntary program will provide the police department with a database that at 3 o'clock in the morning, when is a common hour, actually at sunset is when Alzheimer's and dementias tend to be a little more aggravated or agitated, and therefore seeking that comfort of that 30 or 40 years ago, that location, wherever it may be. And so if somebody's missing for 3 or 4 hours already, and that family realizes that at that point, at that time of night, whether it be in the middle of the night or whatever, it can be difficult to get those diagnoses and the things that we need that the state requires to put out a Silver Alert. So what this advanced reporting system would do is we would already have the information, and we would be ready to release the Silver Alert. And like I said, time is of the essence. Questions? I have flyers out here that pretty much state everything I just told you. We have a database that we will enter everything in that will be searchable for our dispatch. as well as we will provide the forms on the city website and on the Euless Police Department Facebook page, which if you haven't liked, please go and do so, because we put out a lot of good information there.
Mr. Brown back here, I think.
No, he answered
the
the website.
Okay. Did you have a question? All right, and then, because maybe I'm in that early dementia, I told you, you're really pushing my bedtime. But Mr. Tompkins reminded me, we always said Mr. Barker has a very important, short presentation, information that you need to give.
Okay, I would ask you to raise your hand if you live in Euless. Just go ahead and raise your hand. And raise your hand if you have water at your house. And leave your hand up if you have a water meter. Okay, if you don't know if you have a water meter, go see Brandon Zachary when we get done. He'll help you. If you have a water meter and you live in Euless, I want to tell you a little bit about something that they're going to be doing that will touch everybody, literally everybody in the city. The cities is undertaking a program to replace all of the water meters citywide, whether it is at a single-family home or whether that's an apartment complex or a commercial business. Our meters have been in the ground in excess of 20 years. They've reached end of life, and so we're going to be replacing all those meters with a program that's going to start at around the end of February to the 1st of March. And it will take somewhat in the neighborhood of about 1 year to physically replace all of those water meters. And so that will be happening. But let me tell you a few things about that. Number one, we're going to communicate really well with you before we replace your water meter. We're going to have information on the city's website. We will have information if you have already got, I guess some people have just now started getting their February Euless Today, and if not, when you get your Euless Today and your water bill, there's a little article in there about that. It talks a little bit about what I'm sharing with you here. So we will be communicating that with you. When it gets close to the time that we'll be in your neighborhood and replacing the water meter at your house, you will receive a hang tag, if you will, a notice on your door. We're going to try to do that about 48 hours in advance of when your water meter would be replaced. And that notice will say that we'll be there, and again, the plan now is to be there in 48 hours from the time of that notice. And we'll provide you a few phone numbers that if you have any questions that you can call, and those are going to be city folks and city phone numbers. In addition, if you might have some situation that would require that you just think that you can't have the water shut off, or I need to let somebody know that I have a medical need here at the house or whatever, we'll ask that you call that number and make arrangements with us, because we can handle that and we can work with you to do that. The day that your water meter is actually replaced, an individual working on behalf of the city who is going to have on a safety vest and an ID, a photo ID card, and they will actually even carry a letter that is showing that they're authorized to be there, will knock on the door before they actually replace the water meter. And that's just to make sure that if you're home, they will tell you through the door that they will be replacing the water meter. If you're not home, that's fine. They do not need to enter your house for any reason. Your water meter is typically located along the back of the curb in the little water vault there, and so they'll be working in the right of way, but that's just as a courtesy. They want you to know that they will be doing that. That physical exchange of the old water meter and installing the new water meter should take somewhere between 15 to 30 minutes. On a given meter, it may be a little tight, or there may be a little additional work that they have to do, but on average, that's going to take about 15 to 30 minutes. So that's the amount of time that your individual home would be without water. Again, if there's some special need that you would have or special consideration, we're going to provide all that information for you to contact the city so that we can arrange for that prior to that water meter being replaced. When they replace the meter, they will actually run about 5 gallons of water on a spigot on the outside of the home, and that's to make sure that the line has been flushed out. But again, the point there is that everybody will be getting a new water meter. Again, it'll take about a year to do that, and we are committed to communicating that and answering any questions that anybody might have on that. And again, the new meters have a life of about 25 years. So hopefully when we get this done, it'll be quite a bit of time before we're back bugging you again.
Anybody have any questions about that? Anybody else have any questions? Peggy, go ahead. You haven't asked a question all night. Peggy, go ahead.
I know it, but Gary told me I had to ask about squirrels.
We're again on.
What is the progress of getting a grocery store in South Euless? That's been a bone of contention for a long time, and I have to drive 4 or 5 miles to the closest grocery store. And I think the city the size of Euless.
I'd like to thank all of you for being here this evening. It is just warming to our hearts to know that there's so many people that care about their city that are here tonight. As all of you know, we do this twice a year, so we'll do it again in July. But if you have end of June. But please, if you have any concerns, please don't wait until the end of June. You can call a city staff member at any time. All of our phone numbers for city council are on our website. You can call any of us. We're accessible. So please, thank you for being here, and just continue to express your opinions and your thoughts. It's important and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Tompkins, I'll let you go next, sir.
Hey, I got the mic. So, all right, y'all ready? No, again, I thank you for letting me serve you guys, serve the city. It's a true blessing. The analyst in me, and also to help city staff know how we're reaching you guys. So how did you go about hearing about tonight? Was it like the sandwich? If you could raise your hands, is it the sandwich boards on Highway 10 or on the north side? Things like that. I'm gonna switch up. 1, 2. So so we had sandwich boards around the city to advertise for tonight. We've had several Facebook posts, whether it be the police side, the fire side, the parks department. They've all played a role in this. And then Euless Today in your water bill, and then on the euless.org website. And so we're trying to reach out, and we have a spectacular crowd tonight. Oh boy, I got 2 mics now. So I thank you guys for coming out tonight. So, okay, we're good. Over and out.
Mr. Price.
Well, I echo the thanks too for citizens showing up on a cold January night. Want to recognize the scouts here. Thank you guys for coming. Hope you get some kind of merit badge credit or rank advancement or something. And just want to have a quick shout out to the folks from Morrisdale. If you're from Morrisdale, would you just raise your hand? Look at that. That's a pretty good turnout. So that's my neighborhood, by the way. Thank y'all for being here.
About the traffic light on Driftwood coming into Morrisdale.
That's Eddie's traffic light.
Many accidents.
Mr. Senator.
I appreciate everybody being here. This is the biggest crowd we've had for a town hall meeting in the 9 years that I've been on council. I'm finishing up my 9th year right now, and I have just applied for, I guess, filed. Yeah, I guess I filed for re-election. I hope everybody will come out and vote this year. You know, the last 9 years, we've seen tremendous things. I've seen tremendous things change in our city. We've gone through a recession and been able to keep our tax rate the same and then dropped it some. We've built our senior center, we've done the aquatic center, we've done all kinds of great things, and we've got so many more things to do. And all of you being here, it seems like every time we have a town hall meeting, a few more people show up. And that's what makes Euless so great. A few years ago, I've told this story before, I think, my brother came to one of our town hall meetings. He's up from New Jersey. He and his wife were driving through town, and they happened to be here this night. And they saw how much fun everybody had here, and I was joking, and he told the city manager at that time afterwards, he said, well, I think I understand why Tim never wants to go back up north. When we have town hall meetings, there's always at least one fist fight. And you know, we sit here and we talk with Peggy about squirrels. You know, so that's just you guys and the organization of the city of Euless, the way everybody pulls together, is why Euless is the best city in the best state, the best country the world's ever seen. Thank you.
Mayor, you get the final word of the night next to me. You go ahead.
I just very quickly want to say it's a true honor to be able to serve all of you. And as I'm nearing the end of my 12th year, the end of my 11th year, going into 12 years of serving you, it's such an honor to have such great citizens. But it's not only the citizens. You have a fabulous city council, and we can We can agree, we can work everything out without being disagreeable, and that's so important. You've seen tonight what a wonderful city staff we have, and all the city employees that are here tonight. Many are here on their own time simply because they want to know what's going on in the city. And that says a lot about how much they care about our citizens. And of course, the icing on the cake is the citizens. And we appreciate you. We want to work and accomplish the things that you want accomplished. So as Linda said already, don't hesitate to contact us. That's why we're here. And once again, as I said earlier, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. And now let's go eat cookies.
One last housekeeping deal, because I told you this is our 24th year. I know Chief Brown and I have been in all 24 years. I've had the pleasure of emceeing the last, I don't know, 10 maybe or something like that. I've lost count. But the question is asked every night, is this valuable to you to have these kind of town hall meetings? Yes? That's what we want to hear. So we do it for y'all. It's valuable to us. We appreciate you being here. We'll ask you to take all the cookies. Boys, any cookies that are left that they don't eat, they're free game. Be careful going home, and thank you for being here. There's lots of staff here that will answer any questions that you didn't get in. Thank you very much.